Hi, I'm Connie Sokol, a national speaker, best-selling author, program founder, and mother of 7, and loving it. I'm reaching and teaching 1 million listeners to live a purposeful, organized, and joyful life. You can too, so let's go.
Welcome back to our Facebook Spotlights. We love doing these on a Tuesday so you can get to know some of these amazing women. Most of them and many of them are our Disciple Thought Leaders, but others we've invited in to be able to share wonderful things that we love about what they're sharing. And we want to share it with you. So today, if you are thinking about, I want to eat healthier, but I need it doable and enjoyable, then this is a gal for you. Suzy Robertson, thanks so much for being with us today.
You're welcome. I'm so happy to be here.
She is so fantastic. She was actually one of our sponsors for our Speaker in a Day event. And if you were there, you know how fabulous that was. It was so fun. She had her table there and able to share fun things. Such a fun setup too. But I loved her whole thought and idea, which is making this healthy eating so much more enjoyable and doable and simple. So let me give you the scoops on her, and then we're going to jump in to how you can get some tips and tools to make that happen for you. So Suzy is a cooking coach passionate about teaching others the tips and tools to cook healthy and love it. She has frequently been featured on Studio 5, fellow contributor, for the last 9 years, and hosts a virtual cooking and coaching program called Whole Foods for Life. She also teaches the 80-20 principle, which is 80% of the time she eats whole foods, and the other 20% of the time she eats sweets and fun things of life. I can get on board with that. Her program shows that eating healthy isn't hard. It's about empowerment of choices and becoming more efficient in the kitchen. And Suzy loves to do just that. Welcome. All right, let's jump right in. Where did this start, this love of healthy eating and cooking? Because, you know, you say that to people and you're like, I know that I should, but it's not a draw. It's right. I've got carpool and I've got this and I've got so much going on. It just feels like a burden instead of a, wow, that sounds fabulous. So tell us where this started for you.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting how God puts people in your life and on your path to discover what you're meant to do. And I think he took me at a time when I did have 4 young kids and I was busy, but I heard this man speak. His name's Chris Johnson. And if anybody gets anything from this podcast today, I'd say follow him. He's been one of my mentors and coaches, and he has a book called Rest, Eat, Move, and it's fantastic. And we actually study that in my program, because in my program it's all about empowerment, right, and knowledge. But I heard him speak one time and he was talking about the power of whole foods in the body and what they do, and everything in my head just like lit up. My heart, it was like, wow, like foods do that for us and getting sleep does that for us. And it just, the wheels started turning, right? So I started reading his book, and it was so rudimentary, just easy to read. It was like reading a nutrition book that you could actually understand. I was like, I could do that. Like, that seems simple. So I started to implement some whole foods. And then I took a class from Chef Brad. He's another one of my mentors who taught me how to cook with whole grains. And I was like, wow, you know, I was in a gourmet club at the time in California, and I, was cooking all sorts of recipes, and I thought I was this really great chef, and he teaches me this class. This was like 12 years ago, and nobody knew what quinoa was or kamut or spelt, and I'm going, wait, I'm a chef and I don't know any of these things. What are these whole grains, So I started experimenting with them. And so I just became a voracious reader of books. And when I read Superfood Prescription, I learned what all these foods did for the body, all of the vitamins and minerals and phytonutrients and what they actually did to make the body function. And just, like I said, you just feel drawn to whatever it is your calling is. And I just kept feeling drawn to all this information. And so then it was like, I had all this information and I thought, how do I actually apply that? I have these 4 young kids, and how do we eat these whole foods? And so you should have seen when I first learned about quinoa, I was like, okay, we're going to make quinoa tacos. And this is back when we were using white flour, no whole grains. And so we make these quinoa tacos, and so instead of meat, it's all quinoa, and my husband's like, well, these are okay. And the kids, like, they actually ate it. But then that night they had the worst stomach aches. They're like, I can't sleep. My stomach hurts so bad. So then I realized you have to kind of ease your way into whole grains, because the gut's not quite ready for it if you're used to processed, foods and white flours and things like that. So it was definitely a learning curve. So as I gained that knowledge, then my poor family had to be the ones I had to experiment on and learn how to
families are that. Right? They're the guinea pigs.
Guinea pigs. I know, these poor kids, they still laugh to this day. And all the horrible green smoothies I made, because Green Smoothie Girl, I loved her a long time ago when I first started learning how to make smoothies. But then I just kind of was able to adopt those into a healthier way. And so as I did that, people were like, share that recipe, that tastes so yummy. And So then it turned into cooking classes and a blog, and the next thing you know, you're just on your life's path. So anyway, so I love teaching people how to do it in a family-friendly format because it can be overwhelming. So I'm like, let me teach you what not to do, and then now I know how to do it.
I love this, and I love the candor that you have in it, because there's just that learning curve, right? Of taking knowledge that you're so excited about, and then women especially, we just go, oh, here, look what I just learned. It's so good, right? But then you've got to take that time and ability to make it malleable in your life, to make it so that you can apply it and it's sustainable, and it's not just these every 2 months.
Yes.
Like mom's on another kick, she's got another thing, right?
Exactly.
If someone wanted to start eating and cooking healthy, what would be a couple of staples or a couple of simple baby steps that you would be like, this is a good thing to begin with? You've given us some good books and some good references of people and mentors. What would be some good steps?
So my number one step always is for people to drink more water. And I know it seems simple, but some people don't like drinking water. And I'm like, this is just, if you need a first baby step, that's your first baby step. If you don't like water, make it fun. Put fruit in it. They have water flavored stevia drops. They're called water drops. And they're really delicious. But what I like to teach people is to stay away from aspartame and those chemical sweeteners that are 0-calorie drinks, because there's natural sweeteners that are 0-calorie, but they're better for the body. So I don't know if you know Carlin Call. She's with Just Ingredients. She's fantastic. She makes a water flavored packet that's fantastic because it's actually real fruit dehydrated and ground up, and it's sweetened with things like stevia leaf or monk fruit. So it's still 0-calorie. Well, it might be a couple calories from that tiny little bit of strawberry that's ground up, but it's real calories from real food. So there's ways to be able to drink more water. Or I say, if people drink Diet Coke all day, maybe just replace one of those 5 Diet Cokes with one drink of water, one glass of water, or every other. And then eventually you get to the point. When I started wanting to stop drinking soda, I told myself I could only get it when I go out for like a special treat or something. And then, I was like, okay, now just maybe at the movies. And then I hadn't gone to the movies in months. And then I went to the movies and I was so excited to get my Dr. Pepper with my popcorn, because I was finally going to have soda. And I drank it and it tasted like acid in my mouth. It was like, it almost hurt my mouth. I was like, oh, what happened? And I just realized that I had just gotten used to more of these other drinks. So no, it's not hard, but it's all about just those baby steps. So that's one with water. But for some people, they're like, hey, I drink water all the time. Another big thing for people is just replacing healthy oils. So using things like avocado oil or extra virgin olive oil or coconut oil. Those are my 3 oils go-tos. And eating and using the right oils makes a huge difference in our overall cellular health, because type 2 diabetes is on the rise and it's a disease of the cell. And so type 2 diabetes, when people are eating fast foods, sugars, all those trans fats that clog the cell, it just is so big if we can just eat a little bit more at home using those heart healthy oils so that we can avoid that. Type 2 diabetes, 100 years ago, there was 1 in 100 people had type 2 diabetes. And this is a reversible disease. It's something that can be reversed with a good, healthy diet. And nowadays we're about 1 in 11, 11%. So about 1 in 10. And it's projected to be 1 in 3 in the next 50 years. So I'm like, 33% of our population is going to have a disease that we can totally avoid by just, eating healthier, having those healthier habits. So oils are a big thing to help our cells be soft and supple and be able to receive those nutrients. So that's the stuff I'd like to share. Yeah. And that's what I love to teach in my program. There's so much to learn that people don't know, but once you are empowered with that knowledge, it's simple. It's like, okay, throw out the corn oil, the canola oil, the soy oil, peanut oils, like those are so unhealthy for us. So just that little bit of knowledge goes a long way. So just switching out some oils is a good little step too. So
I love that. And I know you're a big proponent of whole foods. So help us understand what that means, because when people say that, there's a variety of translations in someone's mind that all you're going to do is eat raw carrots for the rest of your life. So what does that feel and look like to you when you say that?
Okay, so what I say is, well, first of all, let's clarify. I teach the 80-20 principle. So it's not that we have to always eat carrots, apples, strawberries, all these whole foods. It is, but 80% of the time we want to eat those. The other 20% is having cake at that birthday party and making cookies for your kids and sharing that love and that sweetness of life. God invented the sugar cane too. He wanted us to enjoy sugar, right? This is not a man-made substance. So, but everything in moderation. But when it comes to whole foods, that's what I teach about 80% of the time, eating close to the source. So eating things that come from nature. You know, it's interesting. If you ask younger kids, sometimes they don't even know what is real and what's not. What are these like frankenfoods that have been, you know, created in labs, which, by the way, food scientists are paid big bucks to make us addicted to those foods, right? And they create all these things like MSG and sucralose and these things that excite our taste buds and keep us addicted. And so, you know, with whole foods, you can't overeat whole foods. So it's a diet of abundance. It's not restriction. It's you can have whatever you want. It's abundant. I mean, think of the strawberry, like one little strawberry is covered in all these seeds. And all you have to do is plant that one seed and it's going to grow a strawberry plant that's going to throw shoots that like will take over your whole garden if you let it. It's like God wants us to have this abundance of food, and he's made it available for us to do it. We do have to do a little bit of work, which translates to work in the kitchen as well, right? Like we don't have to grow our own food. If you want to, amazing. That's definitely the best thing. You know, there's baby steps to getting to that, but it's really a diet of abundance. So it's just eating foods close to nature, like the apple versus, you know, the applesauce or the apple flavored whatever. You know, so let's take the apple, for instance. So an apple coming from a tree is the perfect food that God put on this earth for us to eat. It's in a package already, right? All we got to do is kind of wash that off a little bit. We've got fiber in it. We've got live enzymes and vitamins and minerals and all these things. But then man intervenes and we start to process it. So when we make it into applesauce, now we've heat treated it. So we've killed the live enzymes. We've taken out all the fiber because we took the skin off. Well, not all the fiber, but a lot of the fiber. So we took the skin off and those nutrients. And then we lose some of those vitamins and minerals in the cooking process too. And then we usually add sugar. And then, you know, so and then we get all the way down to like apple juice made from a concentrate that's just highly concentrated sugars. So I just teach people to get back to real foods close to the source as possible, which that comes from Chris Johnson. And so just getting back to nature, but making it taste good. And there is a way to make with the right herbs and the right oils and the right seasonings and a little bit of sugar, a little bit of cream, or a little bit of cheese. Like those things do make it taste yummy. So I kind of even like to look at my plate as like the 80-20. If I've mainly got, you know, really good whole foods there, I can add a little bit of this or that to get somebody to eat it. Like say with kids, if they're going to eat oatmeal, you know, it's okay if they're going to load some brown sugar on there. They're going to get in some whole grains and let's slowly cut back, you know, so we can get there. But I'm kind of like, let's do some whole grain pancakes and sure, douse it in your syrup if you need to at first, and then you can slowly wean your way back. And I like to teach those tips on how to reduce sugar and syrups and, you know, use more natural sweeteners and things like that. But it's all just kind of a process. So
I love that. And that baby steps. What about Bob? And you mentioned the natural sweeteners. Do you have a favorite? Because there are so many.
yes.
There's the stevia and like you said, the monk fruit, and there's just so many. Do you
Yes.
have favorites, and why do you have those favorites?
I do. So liquid stevia drops are actually one of my very favorite sweeteners because they don't have the aftertaste like dry stevia. So I love liquid, and it's perfect for like smoothies or in syrups, you know, liquid things. It's a lot easier to use that or to sweeten drinks up or whatnot. Like if I'm making lemonade for my kids, I'll put lemon in there, and I do use some real sugar, but a lot less. And then I just can add a couple stevia drops to it, and it's really sweet and yummy. Or throw in some strawberries and make a frozen strawberry lemonade with frozen strawberries. So anyway, that liquid stevia is fantastic. And then as far as baking, like I actually use a lot of regular sugar, but I use evaporated cane sugar. So that's a little less processed, unbleached, you know, a little bit closer to the source because it's more of a real sugar. But monk fruit is a great one. The dried monk fruit, you just have to be careful with those, not to overdo that either, because our taste buds, we don't want them to be prone to always want sweet, really sweet, right? So we just have to be careful with those too. But lessening sugar in recipes, a lot of the times you'll be surprised if you just do a fourth, decrease it by a fourth of the amount of sugar. You don't even notice. I mean, cookies nowadays, those cookie factories that we buy cookies from, I hate to say it, but they're so sweet. I'm like, people, how about we make a half the sugar line, and I will come to your store and buy one of those. I cannot eat your cookies. I have like an eighth of it. And I'm like, oh, I can't.
And do you get the buzz? Anymore. Like you kind of get a buzz in your head, like, whoa, I can feel that in my veins.
Yeah.
You're so right. In fact, we've noticed that when we cut back on the sugar, you can half it and still not really taste it. And especially if you're going to frost something, like we do banana bread bars kind of thing, and we have a cream cheese frosting on it. But we found that even if we go less, or even if we put stevia in the actual banana bread, if we'll
Yeah.
do regular frosting, we do a little less frosting, but it just adds that sweetness to it. And we can get away with so much less sugar. And
Yes.
it still tastes sweet. It's still, you just don't have anything to compare it to. And I love the point that you make when you're just making a little bit of an adjustment here, a little bit there, your taste buds, how quickly they'll
Yeah.
acclimate to something different. And maybe that leads us to talk for just a second to, I think most people know healthy is better. And I think most of
Yeah.
us are aware and want to eat better. But there's also, I was just talking with my son the other day about the nostalgia of food. And there's this,
Yeah.
like you were talking about your Dr. Pepper. Like I remember when I went on a mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, I went to Japan and we didn't eat a lot of red meat. So I came back so ready for a cheeseburger, like so ready. And I
Yeah.
remember eating it and it was like, ugh, like I couldn't, it just, there was no, but the nostalgia, the
Yeah.
desire for the memories and the feel and the taste of that was still there. So any
Yeah.
suggestion on mindset, because so much of food and eating healthy and all of this is so mindset driven. Any suggestions on how to retrain yourself for the mindset of, yeah, but I love my soda with my popcorn at the movie, right? Even if it
Mhm.
tastes not tasting the same. How do you shift
Yeah.
it?
Yeah. So I really believe that knowledge is power. So along with mindset, gaining the knowledge, that's why I like to educate people. Once you know what all these foods are doing for your body, out of respect and love for your body, it's interesting. You do want more and more of those. It's like when the more knowledge I gained, it was like I want to get those foods in me because I know my eyes are going to be better and my liver is going to be cleaner. You know, it just anyway, it started to give me more of a desire to do that. But the mindset, like I said, not looking at what we can restrict, because the second we restrict, that's why diets don't work, because we feel like we can't have that and all that restriction. They never work long term. They just don't. And that's why creating that lifestyle of saying, okay, what can I add to where I'm at to be healthier? I'm going to tell people you don't have to give up anything, but I'm going to educate you on why these things are good for you, and I want you to see what you can add in. Like I tell people, one of my biggest tips is always have a veggie tray on hand, always, whether you're making it yourself, if you don't have time, buy one, so that when you're making dinner, throw that out so people can munch on the veggies while you're making dinner. Even if you're just going to have a quick quesadilla or grilled cheese for dinner, having those out, or like having some apple slices ready to go that they can munch on when you're just going to have this quick, easy meal, adding those in. And that's what happens is the taste buds do slowly start to change. So you don't, it's not even a mindset you have to force yourself to be in. All you have to ask yourself is, how can I add some healthy fruits or vegetables to my diet today? Or how can I add some more whole grains? And so you just add to what you're already doing. And then as you are empowered with more knowledge, then you just start to desire those other things more. And so it just naturally happens, which is beautiful.
That's so beautiful, and such a great way, and an abundant mindset way of approaching things is you don't have to let go of anything right now. And that just puts the defenses down.
Yes.
And that, primal cortex is like, oh my gosh, they're changing us. No, hold on tight,
Yeah.
right? And being able to say,
Yeah.
oh, it's okay. I can choose how much I want to add in. And then letting those taste buds as they change naturally drive that. And the shift in your body naturally drive. And I feel like an apple right now. That's so gorgeous. I love it. Now, I know you teach people how to do these things through your course. Can you tell us a little bit about what the course is like? Is it like you do it every week, or do you teach them like a recipe?
Yeah, great question. Yes. So I have taught cooking classes for 12 years. And when COVID hit, I started doing it virtually. And I love that because people cook at the same time as me. So they get the recipe at a time and I'm cooking. And it's so beautiful to see husbands and wives or kids in the kitchen, teenagers, and it's so cute. People say, Mom, is it cooking night with Suzy? Like they get all excited. It's so cute. So, but anyway, so when I started doing this virtual thing, I had this guy come to me and he said, you should really create a program where you teach us all your knowledge too. Like you have so much knowledge. And so I did, it was one of those aha moments God inspired this man put in my life. And I went, oh, you're right, because the knowledge is what helps us really make those changes. So how it works is it's once a week on Tuesday nights. People can't come live. It's all recorded and they have their own membership portal online. But Tuesday nights at 5:30, we do a coaching call one week. Then the next week we cook. Then the next week it's a coaching call. Then the next week we cook. So we only cook live together twice a month. And we have a coaching call twice a month. And in those coaching calls, I teach them like, what are clean proteins? What to look for on labels? What does that look like? Here's your natural sweeteners. When you're searching for that, how to read the labels, because that's a whole learning curve in and of itself. how to know what to look for when we're looking for crackers and processed products. What are we wanting to avoid? There really is a lot of coaching that comes along with that and knowing what to do. So I empower them with that knowledge in the coaching calls. We go through slideshows. So there's all sorts of content they consume about these foods and why and what that looks like. And then we go through the recipes and what we're making. And I can say, okay, you're going to look for this ingredient. And people go, I've never used kamut, or what are oat groats? I'm like, it's the whole form of oats. You eat oatmeal. These are oat groats and they're so yummy. And I'm going to teach you how to make them. And it's so easy in the pressure cooker. And anyway, and so they learn how to pressure cook and saute and grill. And so in the cooking classes, it's fun. We just get to teach all sorts of different cooking methodologies. And my parents owned a restaurant for 38 years. So I kind of come from that cooking line. And so that's always been my passion is food. But then when it turned into healthy whole foods, and then I saw the power of it, I'm just naturally a teacher, and I love to share things that mean a lot to me. And this is just the path God put me on. And I just love empowering people with a skill because, the saying, teach a man to fish, or, give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day, teach a man to fish, he'll eat for a lifetime. I believe that teaching a woman or family, anyone, how to cook can change and affect generations. And so food is the sixth love language. I'm convinced of it. They need to rewrite the book. If there's not 5, there is 6. Food is definitely one. And gathering our families, creating those memories. Like, I plan my cooking time when my kids are home doing homework so that I can just sit and chat with them about their day. They don't feel I'm looking them straight in the eye. Sometimes there's those conversations we need to have straight in the eye. But when I'm just cooking and cleaning and they're doing their thing, like, they not only feel loved because I'm feeding them food, but that time I'm spending with them, so that it's just sacred time really in the kitchen. And it can be a lot of fun. We turn on music and dance and have fun. And it's it's the heart of our home for sure. So I love creating those memories for people and bringing confidence to. I have mothers who've cried to me before saying, I had no confidence in the kitchen. My kids never liked what I ate. I didn't even know how to really cut a cucumber. She said, my mom never let me in the kitchen. She wouldn't, and I thought, what mom doesn't want to teach her kids? But she said it was kind of small. She's like, I don't know. I think it was just like, leave me alone. This is my time, So she just had it's quite astounding how many people don't know how to cook. And, I was kind of one of those too who didn't have the time or didn't want to learn. But it's so fun watching people gain these skills because this confidence comes, and then that heart of the home is just grows even bigger. So I love it.
Absolutely love. And it's so funny. I just got a manicure last night, and I was watching, they always have these little food channels on. And I've noticed every time I get a manicure, when they're talking about these chefs, wannabe chefs, they're like, where did you get your inspiration? 90% of the time, I swear, it's, well, I cooked in the kitchen. My grandma cooked, my mom cooked, or they taught me, or I love to be with them. I'd sit up on the stool and I just sample what they ate. So I think exactly what you're saying, you're creating this moment of connection, this time to gather and to be, and people can banter and laugh. And I love that with my girls, and my little guy, my 10-year-old, having everybody in there and they're slicing and dicing, and especially holidays, it just is all part of that whole thing. And if things don't turn out, well, that's part of the whole experience. Remember when we tried that at dinner? We're right. Grief about 3 bean soup. That was the worst thing ever 20 years ago. I still not living down. Suzy, thank you so much. People are going to want to get in touch with you. What's the best way for them to find you?
So they can go to my website, which is learntocookhealthy.com, or they can go to my Instagram, which is Suzy's Natural Health Movement. So Suzy is SUZY. But I offer people a free 45-minute consult to just talk about where they're at, see if this program is a good fit for them. And so I'm willing to offer that for free, and a special couple $100 off for your listeners if they mention that they heard here on the podcast. So love to chat with anyone who's interested. Yeah.
Love it. So mention you heard Suzy's podcast here and you get that $200 off. Love. Suzy, thank you so much. This has been so inspiring. I'm already looking through my oils and thinking, okay, I've got that and that. What about that one? So I love it. Thank you for helping us take the baby steps to eating healthy. Thank you.
You are welcome. Thanks for having me.
And thank you for listening. And if you love these, go back and listen to the other Tuesday spotlights. We talk about everything, parenting, even how you look, appearance, and being able to step it up a little. We talk about all kinds of things that you are facing on the daily with yourself, with your family, and the things you want to pursue in finding and fulfilling your purpose. So check it out. We want to help you take the next step in fulfilling your purpose-filled life.